Alright folks, so I wanted to start this video off by sort of pulling up a very interesting and fascinating graphic that I found floating about Twitter that was making the round sort of on there. So if you've been on Twitter the past couple of days, you may have seen this graphic, but regardless, bear with me. This statistic is versus playoff teams in the last 3 seasons of your respective career, correct? And Mahomes obviously stands still as number one. He is 23-8 with a 74 win percentage against playoff teams in the last 3 seasons of his career. Very good, obviously. No doubt about it. The next guy on the list is Bills quarterback Josh Allen, sitting at a solid 14-9, a 60 win percentage. Then we go over to Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. He's 17-11, so he's also very solid, facing against great teams, aka playoff teams, in the last 3 seasons of his respective career. Joe Burrow comes in fourth on this list. This is sort of the main star quarterbacks in the league, correct? He comes in at 11-14, so a losing record, but he's still won at plentiful games. He's won 11 games against playoff teams in the last 3 seasons, which he's got more losses than wins, but at least he's got a solid, almost a dozen wins against playoff teams. And then you have Justin Herbert, who I just want you to guess what his record against playoff teams over the past 3 seasons of his career is. I want you to guess. If you guessed 3 of 18, you would be absolutely correct. Bingo, you got it dead fucking spot on. Congrats to you. A 14.3 win percentage against playoff teams. And I've also collected, this took me about a minute to find, but I also collected an interesting stat from this past season, so I can't be, oh, well, you know, you're using old stuff from 3 years ago. This was from this year, right? So his touchdown to interception ratio against playoff teams in 2024 was 9 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. This was last season, so this wasn't in 2021 or his rookie campaign in the NFL. This was this last season in the league. Noticeably, that interception ratio is very, very close to the touchdowns. 9-6, not the greatest. And a lot of people are going to defend Herbert by saying, oh, well, he threw 4 in the one playoff game in the wild card against the Texans. Yes, but the fact is, that doesn't matter, all right? Because you're essentially, if you're trying to defend that, you're removing the context of this stat. And that's the big, you're removing the context of how important that game was. It was a wild card playoff game. It was do or die. If you lost, you were out. If you won, you advanced to the divisional round. So he played like shit in that game, and that's that. Now, these were his stats against non-playoff teams in the 2024 NFL season. 15 touchdowns to 1 interception. Does that not tell the fucking story of Justin Herbert? A guy who is great, who is good, very good, against these cream puff garbage teams like the Raiders and like the Panthers. But when he plays a playoff team, he becomes far more turnover prone and throws for less passing touchdowns. A lot of people are going to say, well, oh, they didn't throw much. They were a run-heavy offense. It's Jim Harbaugh's the coach. They threw 500 passes. Justin Herbert threw more passes in 2024 than he did the year prior with a different head coach. So I do not want to hear the, oh, well, there was a run for, he threw more passes, all right? So the excuses are actually starting to run out for this guy. And I'm not trying to say Herbert's some scrub. I think he's a good quarterback. But the fact is, folks, I don't know if I've already said this on my channel, but if I haven't, I guess it's time to make it up. I don't know if anyone else has made this up yet, but if I'm the originator, I'll be proud to be the originator of this thing. I'm going to pencil in a new term. I am going to call it Derek Carr syndrome. I could call it Derek Carr disease, but I think Derek Carr syndrome, to me, fits more aptly. So if you don't like it, so what? I made it up, and you didn't. Derek Carr syndrome essentially is describing a classic good quarterback who simply cannot play well consistently on a consistent basis against the game's elite teams, but can play very, very well, almost dominant against vastly inferior opponents on their schedule. AKA Derek Carr, who recently retired from the NFL. He was known for this, for being streaky at times as well, flashing potential of being a superstar quarterback against some scrub team that would go on to win 4 to 5 games in the season. But he faces a team that wins 12 games, and he plays like a game manager with about 200-something yards, a touchdown, no picks, or a touchdown, 1 interception. And you look at Herbert's stats against these playoff teams in 2024, and this is the same thing Derek Carr did for his entire career in the NFL. Plays great, like a star, like an absolute stud of a quarterback against an inferior team, but he plays a team like the Chiefs, whoever the hell, maybe the Steelers, and he goes into a shell. He looks like a totally different type of quarterback. He's throwing 300 yards against a team that wins 3 games, and then he faces a team that makes a playoff run. He gets like 200-something yards, a touchdown, no picks, or 1 touchdown, 1 pick, or no touchdowns, no picks, or no touchdowns, 1 pick. Some game manager-esque stat line that you would expect from a guy like Gardner Minshew, not Justin fucking Herbert, because Herbert's one of the most overhyped, in my opinion, one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL currently active today. And I mean that. I'm not trying to troll or rage bait or get clicks or views. That's what I actually genuinely believe, and I get accused of that a plenty amount of times. I can't count the amount of times I've been accused of being some sort of troll or puppet master or master manipulator, to where I'm gaming the system by, hating on good players. Listen, Justin Herbert's a good player. Does that mean a good player is immune to any form of criticism? To me, that makes no sense. Good players also deserve to be criticized, because if there's a certain thing they're not quite good at, and for Herbert's case, it is winning consistently against the best teams in the league and performing well against the best teams in the league, he deserves to be criticized by just about anybody, all right? No matter what other viewpoints or hot takes or opinions you may have about the National Football League and its players, you can criticize Justin Herbert for this sort of inefficiency in his game that has been very prevalent the past couple of years. 3-18, it speaks volumes, and quite simply put, folks, I believe it speaks for itself. It is an indictment on Justin Herbert as a quarterback in this league, where he is so good that he can destroy these horrific, cream puff fucking garbage teams that never do anything, never amount to anything in that season. But the second the going starts getting tough, he folds under the pressure. When the lights are at their brightest setting, folks, he tends to shy away, and he doesn't play as well as he does against a cream puff opponent. AKA, as I termed it earlier, Derek Carr syndrome, which is, I guess, something I'll be regurgitating for the next God knows how long on this channel. And I can't wait for football, the NFL especially, to start back up so I can really get into the flow of making videos, folks, because, as you probably noticed, I've been cranking out a lot more content recently because it's almost time for the NFL. Now, the Chargers play in some whack-ass preseason game on the 31st of July. I'll obviously be watching because it's the NFL, but apparently Trey Lance is starting, so that's great, and a high school quarterback playing in a glorified scrimmage, so that'll probably be the only playing time Trey Lance will get this season. But yeah, man, Justin Herbert to me is overrated as shit, and his sort of defenders and fans and Glazers alike, they don't seem to get the bigger picture in this situation here. They seem to tunnel in, to lock in on sort of one thing about, he had no help, he's no defense. Listen, he's been a coach killer, all right? He's gotten like 3 different coaches fired. He's gotten numerous coordinators fired. And there's been so much roster and coach turnover with Herbert at the helm that you start to look at the big picture and what is the common denominator. I'm not trying to blame him for all this, but what is the common denominator in all these scenarios? It's that Justin Herbert was the quarterback for the team. That was the common denominator. That was the theme in all of this. He's gotten, once again, numerous coaches fired. Roster has been shaken up numerous times when he's been the franchise quarterback. So at some point, but Peyton Manning, his first couple years he was called. Listen, the fact that you have the audacity to compare a legend like Peyton Manning to Justin Herbert, first of all, it makes me sick to my stomach. Anybody who regurgitates that garbage should never have an opinion on the National Football League ever again in their whole entire life. Peyton Manning is one of the greatest players in the history of the NFL. Justin Herbert is overrated as fuck, but that doesn't mean he's not good. I'm not trying to say he's a fucking scrub. A lot of people, just because they think, you know, I shit on Herbert because of his deficiencies in certain aspects, beating good teams, that means I hate the guy, or I think he's a horse shit quarterback who is a high schooler. I don't believe that in any sort of way, so don't stop thinking that. That's simply put not true. Once again, good players deserve criticism, correct? Is that, you know, how it should be? Well, you can criticize anyone. It's a free country. We live in America. We don't live in fucking North Korea. We're not in the USSR. We're not slaves to a system, dude. What are we doing here? Everyone can have their own opinion, but the fact is, man, the guy has so many people who defend him. And for the worst reasons. They're not like they're defending him because he's a legit good quarterback. They're defending him because, oh, well, the team sucks around him and he's the best quarterback in the league. I'm done with the top 5, or he's not even my top 10. He's like, he's 11 or 12. He's just outside the top 10 for me. A good quarterback, but show no ability to win the big games and show no ability to win in the playoffs. That's it for this video, man. Thank you all for watching. This has been Mr. Truth, and this was nothing but the truth.